ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this annual Air Cadet Debating Competition. I am LAC Militia Luconi from 618 Queen City Squadron, and I will be the Speaker of the House for this debate. The timekeeper is Sergeant Wang from 364 Lancaster, and the resolution to be debated is be it resolved that artificial intelligence will cause more good than harm. Debating for the government is Team Delta of 364 Lancaster from Windsor, represented by Flight Corporal Leach and Warrant Officer Huang. Opposing them as the loyal opposition is Team Echo of 540 Golden Hawks from Oakville, represented by Corporal Yang and Warrant Officer Tandon. Please switch off all electronic devices until the conclusion of the debate. I now declare the debate open and call upon the first speaker for the government to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The topic to be debated today is, be it resolved that artificial intelligence will do more good than harm. Before we present our case, the government, would like to start by defining a few terms. Firstly, artificial intelligence as computer systems that are able to perform tasks that require human intelligence, and will also be referred to as AI. Good as actions that result in a positive outcome that benefit the majority of people, and harm as actions that result in a negative outcome for the majority of people. Our first point is that artificial intelligence is many times better at noticing and understanding patterns than humans are. Now, this is a great benefit because we have a lot of technology that, for example, would predict when earthquakes. But because humans aren't as good as looking at patterns as AI, the information that an earthquake will be imminent would often only reach a city about 3 to 4 minutes before the earthquake actually hits, which is not a lot of time to evacuate. But if it was an AI trained to notice the patterns and the tremors of the earth, then the city could be evacuated 30 to 45 minutes or even an hour before the earthquake hit, which would possibly save hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives. Our second point is that artificial intelligence and the autonomous machines that it will operate will require many jobs. Firstly, to maintain the machines themselves, to develop the AI, and to operate the power grid that these machines would require. And this government plans to take full advantage of this by focusing in the education system on developing the skilled trades for people already in the workforce, making them go to workshops that would help them work with their hands and think more critically and be able to maintain these machines and maintain the power grid, and also reform the education system. So there's more working with your hands, there's more thinking critically, there's more allowance for individuals, which will help people develop these AI systems, maintain the power grid, and maintain the machines themselves that the artificial intelligences would operate. So in summation, Madam Speaker, the rise of AI will allow us to detect when natural disasters are imminent, saving millions of lives, and create thousands of jobs, and will also allow humans to do more work where they can work creatively and work that is more interesting. And that is why this resolution must pass. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I now call upon the first speaker for the opposition to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B.F. Skinner once said, "The real problem is not whether machines think, but whether men do." It's not about what AI might create, but it's about what they will destroy, which is why I'm very proud to oppose. Few things for you today. Today, I'm going to be refuting what side government has said about their claims, then moving on to my 3 arguments. First of all, on how this will create massive amounts of job loss. Second of all, on how this AI can be easily put into the wrong hands. And finally, about how it's erasing creativity and art from humans. All right, moving on to refutation. One of their main arguments is about how AI is better at noticing patterns than humans. This is true to some extent. However, they're also very biased towards some groups of races. For example, some healthcare AI have constantly been biased towards black individuals rather than lighter skinned individuals in many different cases and examples, as my partner will mention.
Source?
As my partner will mention. Second of all, there's also going to be, they also talk about a lot about jobs and how they're going to might create jobs with skilled trades and stuff. That's completely not true, and as I move on to my first point, how there will be actually more job loss than jobs gained, significantly more and more impactful. Then moving on to my first argument about why there's significant job loss. Already, AI is being replaced in a lot of these low-skilled labor jobs. What this means is that a lot of people who are in these job positions no longer cannot work there because companies would rather hire these AI or rather employ these AI onto those job positions rather than actual human beings. This might be good, but it is only good for the company. It is not good for the millions, maybe even billions in the future of people who will lose their jobs because they are being replaced by AI. In fact, some sources have stated that these more manual repetitive tasks have experienced wage declines as high as 70%. This amount of percentage loss is detrimental to not only the economy, but a lot of people who will lose their jobs. What is the impact of this? Basically, a lot of these lower skill jobs, these are inhabited by mainly middle to lower income individuals or people who are in minorities. What this means is that on top of the fact that these people have to work 7-8 hours in a factory every day, only earning about like little sums of money, will now not even have a job at all. They cannot earn any more money, and they can't go to like skilled trades or universities to get engineering degrees to help with getting AI jobs because that's expensive. That costs money. They don't have the money to afford that. We believe that this much amount of jobs lost, especially from poor individuals, is not something you would want in our society. Moving on to my second argument about how how AI can easily be put into the wrong hands. First idea is about significant privacy and security issues, as AI has probably many applications in code breaking and cyber attacks. For example, China uses a lot of facial recognition technology in offices, schools, and many other revenues. Besides like tracking a person's movements, they use AI to also track gathering data to monitor someone's personal activities, their relationships, and even their political views. This is a huge infringement on privacy, and AI makes it super simple for governments to do that. Another thing as well is using a lot of malicious uses in terms of AI, such as deepfakes, which is essentially where you replace an actor's face and with a famous individual like a president of the United States, and you can mimic their voice and their facial expressions perfectly, near perfectly. This can be used to spread tons of misinformation, propaganda, as well as sort of attacks over vast majority of the internet. And it's very hard to tell whether they're real or not. This will create a ton of chaos in our society. Finally, onto our argument about erasing creativity and arts of humans. Right now, there are tons of good AI that can pretty much replicate different art styles perfectly, whether that's paintings, whether that's writing, or even music. The problem with this is that AI, they can only mimic the style. They can never mimic the substance that they're saying. Humans create art to express themselves. Humans create art with value and with emotions. AI doesn't do that. However, companies now won't really hire actual artists because they're like, well, I can just get an AI to do that. That's free, right? The problem with that then is that because AI doesn't have any actual real emotions, and because they cannot truly express the art in that way, we are losing actual creative arts, creative talents in our society. And what is there to humanity without actual humanity? Because of that, we're so proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, member of the opposition. I now call upon the second member of the government to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The government would like to begin by rebuttaling some of the points that the opposition had stated. The opposition had stated that AI may be put into the wrong hands, bringing up the example of how China uses face recognition to identify people in their country. But Madam Speaker, us as the government in Canada have ways of regulating these types of face recognition. Laws can be put into place to go against these types of deepfakes and face recognition technology. Because we are not a different country, we are not China, we are Canada, Madam Speaker, and as the government, we believe that regulations are an important aspect of artificial intelligence. The opposition had also brought up that artificial intelligence restricts creativity, specifically artists and AI art. But Madam Speaker, AI art is nowhere near as perfect or as accurate as the art that is created by people. AI art is unable to identify certain human aspects, such as hands and other different types of the body. AI is only able to recognize patterns and replicate it into a product. And that is what the government is attempting to prove today. We believe that AI will not take over our jobs, our creativity, and our people, but instead a tool, something that helps ourselves, something that helps the everyday person throughout their life, not technology that is sentient and will take over what we do every day. The government will now move on to restating and rebuilding our own points. AI has the ability to predict, monitor, and recognize patterns better than any human can do. It can complete this task over and over again, and it can recognize and gather data for humans to use to save one another. An example brought up by the Prime Minister, earthquakes. Technology has been applied to earthquakes to recognize what areas may be affected more, how likely it is to happen, and when it might happen. Through this technology, we are able to save millions of lives, Madam Speaker. And moving on to the plan that the government proposes. This new era of artificial intelligence will require more jobs in the skilled trades, such as electricians, engineers, and computer scientists. And in order to adapt to this new revolution in our workforce, we intend to move these people to high-skilled positions by changing the construction of the education system. We will move away from a strict curriculum that restricts creativity, where examinations are very statistics-based, and testing systems are stressful, restrictive, and don't bring the best out of an individual student. We will change this system into one that allows students to practice critical thinking more often, have more freedom to express creativity, and be individuals, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the government is not attempting to reinvent the wheel. This system that we are proposing has been shown before and has worked in places such as Finland, Sweden, and other Nordic European countries. Through this system, with more workers in high-skilled positions and less money spent on the line for workers such as wages, insurance, unions, the national economy of Canada improves. And the money saved can go into supporting the underprivileged, immigrants, and those who truly require the financial aid that they need. And for these reasons, Madam Speaker, the government's resolution must stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister McCracken. I now call upon the second speaker for the opposition to speak.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Now, let's talk about a little bit about what the government has really stated to the audience and to the speaker. The first point they brought up is the fact that while it restricts creativity and it can't even recognize hands, and AI art is still in a primitive state. Let's take a look at what AI really is. The beauty of AI is the fact that it's so rapidly scalable. Look at ChatGPT, one of the most prevalent and controversial chatbots to ever exist. ChatGPT's source, OpenAI, recently released GPT-4, which was almost 10 times more powerful than its last. It's only a matter of time before these AI art bots can now recognize human hands, recognize human faces. The distinction between AI art and real artists is getting blurrier and blurrier. And it's easily incentivized for these large companies to just rather take the AI-free art, even in its primitive state. It's only a matter of time before these companies are taking advanced AI art that will completely and utterly replace artists, replace creativity. Let's talk about another point that the government keeps harping on, the fact that it will create more electricians, more engineers, more of these high skills and educated jobs. Why should we be creating these educated jobs? Why should we be taking money away from unions when the AI pandemic or the epidemic can just remove the jobs of these low skills workers? Let the opposition bring up a statistic, since the government likes statistics so much. The World Economic Forum predicted that by 2025, automation and the new division of labor between humans and machines will disrupt 85 million jobs globally. Let the opposition repeat that number. 85 million jobs. Just because the Canadian government can put money or throw money into educating workers who already have a high level of education to shift them into more creative fields, it really has no plan on helping out these 85 million people globally, or the significantly less population in Canada. What do these people do when their jobs are lost? Nothing. They don't have an alternative. They cannot provide for their families. They cannot provide for their community. There's no plan in place. While AI progression keeps rapidly improving, there's no plan for these communities, these families who are impacted by this. Moving on, the government mentioned that regulations should be put in place. Let's talk about something called the open source nature of AI. The biggest company in the world when it comes to AI, OpenAI, has their platforms, has their technology open source on the internet. Now, what does open source mean? Open source means that anyone on the internet can take these AI and take these chatbots and use them for whatever malicious intent they have in mind. There's no regulation there. The government can't stop or can't restrict the internet without causing a huge problem internally within Canada. The open source nature of these AI basically means that anyone with significant knowledge of AI can use it for their own benefits. There's no accountability and there's no way to restrict that. Now, moving on to a point that my colleague so eloquently brought up, the point of AI being biased. Now, a study the government asked for the source is the Global Initiative for Ethical Considerations in AI. They partnered with MIT to look into how facial recognition softwares disproportionately cannot even recognize darker-skinned individuals. And so these darker-skinned individuals are not even eligible for certain life-saving medicine. That is extremely influential, and it's the point that AI has these built-in biases that are impacting significant industries such as the medical industry. Now talking a little bit more upon our point on the fact that while AI may, the government may say that AI will overcome a lot of social burdens or create more jobs, but it sort of fails to paint a pretty picture on what AI can actually do. And the facts like the World Economic Forum talking about how it'll disrupt so many jobs is the facts that we should be looking at. And the government fails to notice this. Now, another point that the opposition would like to make is the fact that a lot of AI will, like my partner put, disrupt creativity. A lot of these jobs that a lot of communities rely on, such as, for example, the hip-hop community relying on music to express themselves. Having AI or AI music take over for these artists and essentially replace them loses a lot of that sense of community that these marginalized people rely on when, again, AI is taking over their jobs. So not only are we taking the jobs of a lot of these lower income families and lower income communities, but we're also stripping away their individuality. How can the government ever propose or even support such a notion when the very communities that our country, the diverse communities that our country is built on, is being stripped away? AI as a whole not only loses a significant amount of poor people's jobs, it also strips away creativity and humanity. And as my partner put, when it falls into the wrong hands, because of its open source and easy to access nature, it's completely unpredictable. And the nightmare scenarios are endless. Let's look at this entire problem from a more cautious approach. The government should make sure that we aren't getting rid of people and sacrificing people for the narrative of innovation within our country. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of the Opposition. I now call upon the first speaker for the government for rebuttal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to start by rebutting a few of the points brought up by the Honorable Opposition. First among them is that artists would lose their jobs due to the fact that artificial intelligence is paving the way. Yes, they would lose their jobs. However, they are a minuscule amount of the population. And as this government has said at the start of this debate, that good is actions that benefit the majority, not the minority, but the majority. Secondly, is that the opposition also stated that the rise of that while we presented a very good plan to save the jobs of many of the underprivileged and the people working in less skilled trades and jobs that are under threat of AI, we wouldn't be able to do that for other countries. However, when other countries notice the great changes that we are making to preserve employment and create a robust economy, they will start to copy us because we are doing well, and if they are not doing well, then we're going to do what they are going to do, what we are doing. So to go over a few of the points that we originally stated, AI is better at predicting patterns, and this could save millions of lives by predicting natural disasters quicker. And we will also capitalize on the need of electricians and people to maintain the autonomous machines that AI will operate. And that is why this resolution must pass. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I would now like to call upon the captain of Team Delta to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to begin by thanking you, Madam Speaker, for overseeing and moderating today's debate, the government, the opposition, for a wonderful debate and wonderful rebuttals, to our judges for coming out today and judging all of our debates and giving us valuable feedback along the way, and of course, everyone else, the members of the gallery, everyone who came out today. Thank you so much to everyone. We truly appreciate everyone coming out today. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain of Team Delta. I would now like to call upon the captain of Team Echo to second the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to second what the captain of Team Delta so eloquently put. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for moderating our debates and helping it run smoothly. Thank you, government rather, for providing exceptional arguments to your case. Thank you to our judges for giving us feedback and making sure that our debate runs smoothly. Thank you to our coaches from 540 that helped us out and taught us the necessary skills. And thank you to all of you for being such a respectful members of Gallery and aiding and organizing this entire wonderful event. And thank you, I guess, to Mohawk College for allowing us to stay here. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Captain of Team Echo. I now declare the debate closed.
First of all, we will start with what everyone knows. Our top Speaker of the House is leading Air Cadet, Melisha Luconi. And the top debater, top individual debater today is Flight Corporal David Leach.
We love all the response.
Congratulations.
So of course we have two teams up front, one of which is earned first place, one of which has earned second place. So I'm going to start with third place. In third place today is Team Charlie from 104 Starfighter Squadron. It's done. The work is done. It's okay. Okay, so in second place, congratulations, Team Delta.
Yeah, take good debate, good debate. You're not curious. We're gonna do the camera guy a favor. Let's squeeze in and then take like 3 steps back. You guys can hide it over here.
So it goes without saying, if everyone would please join me in congratulating the first place team for this year's competition, Team Echo.